Hello everyone and welcome to the Arbor Farm. Thank you for joining me for today's episode where I want to share with you how to build a wooden flower press. Let's get started. If you're someone who likes to grow flowers or preserve flowers for crafts and decorations and other projects, a wooden flower press might be the right thing for you. And it's really simple to make one, and I'm going to show you how in our step-by-step instructions. Now, at this point in my profession, I don't want to claim to be someone who has mastered pressing flowers, but I do know how to make a good flower press, and am still learning the ins and outs of how to press the flowers, so I'm not going to go into that today. I will simply show you how to make a good press for your flowers. So there are a few items as far as supplies are concerned that I'd recommend that you have, but certainly these are interchangeable with other items, and so I'll just show you what I use to make my flower press. So I use 3/8 inch carriage bolts, and these are 8-inch long. You can use shorter if you don't want to stack your press as full, or you could even use longer if you want to stack your press long. And I have washers that also fit, and then I have 3/8 inch wing nuts. And so those are the hardware pieces that I need. Now let's look at the wood and the options there. To make my flower press, I've chosen a piece of 2 by 4 foot plywood, and I like the nice finished plywood, but there's also particle board that would save you money, but we chose the 3/4 inch plywood, something that's nice and thick and is going to be sturdy, but I also wanted it to look nice when I finish. So a 2 by 4 foot piece of plywood will get you 4 flower presses. So in essence, to make one flower press, you don't need that much wood. You could simply use a 1 by 2 foot piece of plywood, a nice 3/4 inch plywood, and that will get you a 1 foot square flower press. Now you could make a flower press that's smaller. You could make a flower press that's larger, whatever you want, but a 12 inch by 12 inch is what I'm going for here, just for our purposes today. So the first thing I need to do is mark off with a pencil how I'm going to cut my plywood. And so I'm just gonna measure 12 inches by 12 inches and then use my battery operated saw, but you can use any saw that you have access to for the best results for you. So let's go ahead and measure off, and then let's start cutting. I'm marking the 2 foot spot next, using my square to make a straight line across the board, and then at the 3 foot spot, so from this board I can get 4 pieces. This is a 1 by 4 foot board, but I can get 4 pieces from this and in essence make 2 presses. But let's focus on just making the 1 press with 2 1 foot square pieces. All right, let's cut them. So we have our 2 pieces cut now. The next thing I like to do is to sand them off to get rid of these sharp edges and to make it a nice and smooth finished product. So let's sand. So we have our 2 pieces of wood that have been cut and sanded, and they're nice and smooth, 1 foot by 1 foot. And so the next thing we need to do is add the hardware. Now what I like to do is mark 1 inch from the edge and 1 inch from the edge, and that's where I'm going to drill my hole to fit the bolt through. Now I need to use a 3/8 inch drill bit to fit my 3/8 inch carriage bolt through here. So in case that my measurement is not accurate, I like to stack them one on top of another, line them up, and drill them both at the same time. And then the other trick I like to do is mark 1 corner so that if I'm slightly off, I don't have to keep rotating to figure out how it's going to fit. I just know that those corners fit together. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark 1 corner with my pencil. So I know that this corner and this corner are the ones that I've stacked to line up together. So I can go ahead and drill my hole, and I know that this corner and this corner always go together. So when I put my press together, I don't have to dink around and figure out, you know, how does this align? How does it fit if my measurements are slightly off? So I'm gonna go ahead and drill the holes while it's stacked so that it'll be nice and even. Here I'm measuring approximately 1 inch from that edge and 1 inch from that edge. Put a little dot there, that's where I'm going to drill. And I do that on all 4 corners. Okay, I'm ready to add my holes. Make sure that my wood is all lined up, and it is. And I can hold it tight together and add my holes. I'm gonna give it one more cleanup with the sander. Here are my 2 stacks, my 2 layers of plywood that are ready for hardware, and then it will be ready to be used. So let's put our hardware in place. To assemble my flower press, I need 4 wing nuts, 4 carriage bolts, and 4 washers, as I mentioned before. So first thing I'm gonna do is put my carriage bolts up through the bottom of the wood. So if you were going to press some flowers immediately, you would leave this top layer off, and you would use your cardboard and your blotting paper and whatever you're putting in between there, and then you would add the top piece of plywood, and that becomes the pressing portion. So once you have everything in there, you want to squeeze it as tight as possible, and then add the washers and the wing nuts. So the washers is what tightens everything down. The washers tighten everything down and make your flowers nice and airtight so that they are pressed. So I wanted to show you on this one that we filled up yesterday. We've got it with our layers of cardboard and paper and flowers and more paper and cardboard. And that's exactly the way that we are trying it. Again, I don't feel like I have enough experience at this point to tell you how to press flowers, but I feel like I can tell you how we make our presses. And so screwing it down tightly is an important aspect, and then checking it every day and making it a little bit tighter as time goes on is what is important to making your flowers absolutely come out beautiful. I will put links in the descriptions below to the tools and the equipment that I'm using for this video, but you can always feel free to switch those out for ones that work best for you or ones that you have access to. So check there if you need some assistance as far as the hardware that I'm using and so forth. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. Our goal is to always create content that's helpful for you. And if you found today's content helpful, we'd like to ask you to click the like button and subscribe to our channel so that you can receive notifications as to when the next content is available. And as always, if you have questions or comments, please drop those below. We read every single one, and we are always happy to engage with you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.